welcome. This is Dr. Victoria Terry. I'm a traditional naturopath with Health and Harmony, and today's subject is frequency. The top 4 common questions I get asked every day. Before we get started, let me remind you that anything you hear in this presentation is for informational purposes only. It is not meant to cure, treat, diagnose any illness or disease. The 4 most common questions regarding frequency. The first one is, what is frequency? Well, frequency in definition regarding physics is the number of waves that pass a fixed point in a unit of time. It's also the number of cycles or vibrations that go on during one unit of time by a body in periodic motion. Or a body of periodic motion is said to have undergone one cycle or one vibration after passing through a series of events or positions and returning to its original state. In other words, you could also call it harmonic motion. Now, vibration is periods of movement without restraint. In simple terms, frequency is energy or vibration, whatever you want to call it. What we do understand is that all matter produces energy. Our words are energy. Electricity is energy. Speed is energy. All of these forms of energy cause some sort of reaction or a result. And we see this in every creation. Every creation has energy, it has vibration, and it has frequency. As a matter of fact, everything around us has some sort of vibratory number or frequency number, such as like mankind. For a male, a frequency number is 0.00000, which would be 5 zeros, and the number's 24, where a female frequency are those same 5 zeros with the numbers 26. A dog frequency has 5 zeros. A male dog has 5 zeros with the number 38, where a female has the 5 zeros with the number 40. Now, frequency for citrus is with 3 zeros and the number 9. Why? Well, let me explain that. Because it's an odd number, this means that odd number, so the citrus is both male and female because it can produce from its own. Okay? The human frequency is the fastest frequency of all creation. And I want you to note that there are 5 zeros in mankind, where animals have 4, and like I said, citrus has 3. Now let's take a quick look at what God's Word says about energy. In Genesis 1:3, it says, "Let there be light," and there was light. This is an action, meaning that there's some sort of vibratory rate going on here, because when there's an action, there's movement. God spoke the earth into existence with simple words. I know what you're thinking, we're not God. I understand that, and that is 100% true. But are we not created in His image? Has He not given us everything we need to survive on this earth, even through our sinful nature? Energy is one of those many blessings that He gave to us. He gave us speech. Believe me, our words have energy. Our words have energy to either lift up and edify or to tear down and destroy. We know this. Why? Remember that old saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me"? Biggest lie you've ever heard. But as believers in Christ, it is important for us to understand that energy or vibration or frequency, whatever you want to call it, is a creation of God Himself. His very own words are powerful. If you've read His words in the Bible, they give you some sort of feeling or a feeling of satisfaction, or maybe feeling of sorrow, depending on where you're at with your walk with Him. They're powerful. Our whole being is made up of atoms and sensory type frequencies and ions and vibrations and glands and tissue and organs and cells and all the makings within us. Our every molecule has vibration or a frequency. So when something within us is out of harmony, our God himself created us with frequencies. So is it not common sense that we would use the very frequencies he has so lovingly made for us in order to regain harmony within our bodies? He did this for us because he loves us more than we will ever truly understand. We just need to recognize that he himself is the great physician. He himself is the great I am. Now, with that being said, frequency is not voodoo or new age or satanic like some think. Yet, like everything good that God has given to us, we, in our sinful nature, has taken every good thing God has created and turned it into bad, turned it upside down. Everything that used to be right is now, or wrong is now right. Everything's been turned upside down, especially in our world today. I'm going to tell you, Satan is alive and well on planet Earth, and he is here to kill, steal, and destroy. He hates Christ so much that he will use every possible tactic that he possibly can to make things seem like something they're not. The New Age thinking today, our political forum is totally messed up. Evolution thoughts, and the list goes on and on. These are the things that he has taken that we used to understand, that seemed to be right on the right forum, the right field, are now so upside down and turned so cattywampus. We as believers need to understand that it is crucial to know that our every thought and our belief system will create and produce some sort of energy and will direct our life path. Remember when I said that there's energy and there's either there's a reaction to it? Well, depending on what we're thinking, and our thought process is the reaction or the path that it's going to go down. So when we think we can't do something, most likely we can't. If we think that we'll never have any, let's say, prosperity at all, you probably won't, because you think that way. Rise up above that, because Christ himself wants us to have the best. Does that mean you're going to get that four-wheeler or that big camper or that brand new truck or car or whatever you're wanting? Not necessarily, because it has to be within his will. Let's look at Proverbs 4:23 in the ESV version. Keep your hearts with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. In other words, be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. Proverbs 23:7 says, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. If you think you're poor, you are poor. If you think you're stupid, you are stupid. If you think that you can't ever amount to this and you'll never get that job, probably not. We are the biggest downers in our own lives. Our thoughts as well as physical words cause physical energy that directs our life and our lives and the lives of those around us. We affect others. This reminds me that simple little hymnal song that we used to sing when I was a little girl. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. And oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. For our Father up above is looking down in love. So let's be careful. We hear this in everywhere. God tells us in his word that we need to put on the full armor of God to protect our mind, heart, and soul. What a sweet and powerful little harmonic tune that was. Well, the second question is, how does it work? Well, let me explain. It's probably easier to share the historical insight, starting with Royal Rife, who in 1920 first identified the human cancer virus using the world's most powerful microscope. And after identifying and isolating the virus, he decided to culture it on some salted pork. And at that time, this was a very good method of culturing viruses. He then took the culture and injected it into 400 rats and rapidly created cancer in all 400. The next step for Rife is where things kind of took an interesting turn. He later found a frequency of electromagnetic energy that would cause the cancer virus to diminish completely when he entered it into the energy field of each mouse or into each rat. This discovery led Rife to create a device that could be tuned to output the frequency that would destroy cancer. Now, Royal Rife was a researcher who studied the effects of frequencies on viruses and bacteria, and each organ of the body has its own rate of vibration. And by using the principles that every molecule vibrates at a unique frequency, well, Rife discovered that when applying the frequency at whatever that microbe resonated at, it disintegrated from structural stresses. In other words, it was gone. It blew up. It just, boom, gone. And there are YouTube videos out there. You can look it up. Resonance frequency, looking for cellular frequencies, destruction, things like that. Now, Rife designed a frequency generating device that he named the Rife machine. In 1953, Rife published his cancer report in a book form, and it was called History of the Development of a Successful Treatment for Cancer and Other Virus, Bacteria, and Fungi. Now, in 1958, the state of California Public Health Department conducted a hearing which ordered the testing of Rife's frequency instrument. Now, the Palo Alto Detection Lab, the Caleb-Fed Lab, the UCLA Medical Lab, and San Diego Testing Lab all participated in the evaluation procedure. And guess what? They all reported it was safe to use. However, and here's the key, for whatever reason, the AMA board under Dr. Malcolm Merrill, who was the director of public health at that time, declared it unsafe and banned it from the market. And as a direct result of this decision, the American Medical Association, or the AMA, refused to publish any papers supporting the Rife technology, which was considered at that time new medical technology. Now, in 1942, the U.S. Court of Appeals found the AMA guilty of suppressing new medical technology. Get this. They suppressed the new medical technologies in favor of drug companies. So the U.S. court found the AMA guilty of suppressing this in favor of drug companies. So that was in 1942, but it wasn't until the 1980s that research with the Rife machine resumed. And it was in 1987, Barry Lines wrote and published a book titled The Cancer Cure That Worked, which revived the subject in alternative therapy circles. And the Rife machine is very well used in alternative circles. However, there is much more modern technology today. Now, today, researchers are still experimenting with the Rife machine. While there are no long-term studies on its effects, scientists still have concluded that the low Rife frequency electromagnetic waves do indeed affect tumors while leaving healthy cells untouched. And there is documentation on that. Today, in 2023, medical technology has advanced into using frequency for healing and imaging. However, the term frequency healing is still seen as something very evil to most people. And if you've ever visited my website, you've seen the quote up in my right-hand corner of my page. And this little quote is so appropriate for this little study. And it's a quote by A.F. Badeau, and he says this: "The American people are ill because they are not knowledgeable." And that is so true, because we are afraid of what we do not know or understand. And believe me, we miss out on so much. So many people believe that frequency, when you start talking about these things, that because of all of the upside down stuff and the the things that are out there in New Age movement and things, they think it's satanic and wrong. What a shame. We can find medical applications of radio frequency energy in the form of electromagnetic waves, or the EMRs. Those are electromagnetic radiation, which is used in X-rays. We can find it in diathermy waves, which are basically ultrasound. It creates heat. It induces heat in a form of physical therapy and surgical procedures. It's commonly used for muscle relaxation. It's a method of heating tissue electromagnetically for therapeutic purposes. It's used to go down and kill deeper into the deeper tissues, such as for tumors and cancers and warts and infected tissues. And then hyperthermia is a different type of diathermy. And then it's also used to cauterize blood vessels to prevent excessive. They use this in surgery for our eyes. Now, something that you might recognize is magnetic resonance imaging, better known as MRIs, that uses frequency waves to generate images of the human body. It's through heat. Other frequencies used on a common basis are part of aesthetic treatments to tighten skin, such as facelifts, tummy tucks, etc. And frequency is used to reduce fat by lipolysis, and also apostasis, which is a promotion of heat or healing. Now we've got the PEMFs, which is a pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and it's been shown through NASA, a study through NASA, that's helped heal bone tissue. These things are used on a constant basis. There's scalpels out there that are used to cut skin without knives. This is, laser type therapy. This is a form of frequency, people. I just don't understand it. Now, you can get into electrotherapy. We can get into Nikola Tesla. That's frequency type of stuff, by high frequency currents and inductive coils and all these things. But frequency was brought into medication. High frequency current to the body was used experimentally to treat wide varieties of medical conditions called electrotherapy. In 1899, Australian chemists determined that the rate of heat production in tissue as a function of frequency and current density was used in high frequency currents for deep heating therapy. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. So what is therapy or frequency? It is a form of therapy to bring healing, to bring harmony to something that is in disharmony. Now, the third question is it dangerous and satanic? Well, as I stated above, everything good that God has given to us, in our sinful nature, we've taken it and made a good thing something bad. Like I said, Satan is here to kill, steal, and destroy. Now, the $1 million question for today is, how does it work if I'm not hooked up to some machine? Because we know we have the brainwave thing, we have EMFs, we have, brain electrodes, we have EKGs, EEGs. We have to be hooked up to those. So how does this one work? Well, the simplest way for me to explain it is that radio frequency travels. We get data from frequencies in space, such as satellites. We can use sonar, which is a type of frequency. These frequencies are set to a specific target, and we can collect data from it. Okay? When I run a long-distance frequency on myself or someone else, I ask a few personal questions that only belong to you. We are energy. We have a common frequency depending upon whether you're female or male. But what isolates us from someone else in the world is your personal information. This information is your first and last name, your gender, your height, your weight, and your birth date. This is your frequency fingerprint, if you want to call it that. So once your fingerprint is determined and has been input into my very technical frequency software, you now are the target. And once that data has been added, I can then run a frequency scan. and find out what's going on within your system, and find and see those frequencies that are out of harmony. Now, this scan only shows where in the body the frequencies are. It is not a medical diagnosis. It's then that I take the data from that scan and input the disharmonized frequencies, or the frequencies that are out of balance, into another program that has millions of these harmonic frequencies, in other words, where our frequencies should be set. And then I run those frequency healings as you as the target, and they optimize your body and try to bring those frequencies that are out of balance back into balance. Now, depending on the severity of imbalances and the length of those imbalances, that will determine how long it will take for your body to get back into what I call frequency harmony. Now, it's important to understand that until we meet our Father in heaven, our body will never be in complete harmony. But it is our responsibility to get it as close as possible and functioning within a range that is still in healing process and not out of the healing range. So our bodies should be within, it's never going to be perfect, but we should have frequencies that are never so far out of balance that it can't heal itself. So that brings us to our responsibility. What is our responsibility? Well, as believers and as children of the Lord, it's our responsibility to keep our mind and body in the best shape possible so that we can serve our living God and bring glory to Him. That, my friends, is where we need to be. That is the thought that we need to have, not whether frequency is something satanic. Now, there are things out there that you don't want to mess with, and anything outside the parameters of God's principles written in the Holy Bible are not good. And He gives us our groundwork. He tells us where we need to stay away from things. We need to pray about it. We need to think about it. And we need to educate ourselves. If you'd like more detail in how to get started with some frequency work, please contact me by texting the word frequency to 208-569-9589. Or you can email me at naturaldoc@gmail.com. That is NTRLDOC@gmail.com. And put the word frequency in the subject box. I just want you to understand this is a non-invasive therapy that is affordable to every budget. All you have to do is inquire within. Hey, this is Doc Victoria Terry with Health and Harmony. And until next time.